Detroit is a city that is complicated.
You know, the national rhetoric is that Detroit is the poster child for collapse or bankruptcy or negativity or crime or violence.
Where we get into trouble is if we try to classify Detroit as just one thing. Detroit is not a monolith.
We are not a city of failures. We are not represented by the unemployment rate. That is not who Detroit is.
Blight didn't just happen. There are government and systemic sanctioned actions that caused what we now know as the downturn of Detroit. Spatial racism, housing, and predatory lending, all of that was created by systems. And I think the narrative gets dangerous when we tend to blame the Detroiters that stayed here through the good and the bad for Detroit's downturn, and essentially leave them out of the narrative of revitalization.
I think that the narrative is wrong in that we can't help ourselves and that we need Shinola or we need Dan Gilbert to come in and fix all our problems.
I definitely think the candidates should be aware that Detroit is not just what you see on the surface. Yes, we've had a lot of development recently, but there is a Detroit that I hope the candidates dig deeper into. What do families need? What do people in neighborhoods need? What do the small business owners need?
You know, I think they need to visit the neighborhoods to really see some of the great neighborhoods we have, and then to really see some of the not so great neighborhoods and see the contrast of what we have here in Detroit and how we can improve that.
I would want them to really talk about people who aren't really discussed a lot, and that's the poor, the working poor, the less than highly educated. People who want to do well but just don't have the access to resources to want to do better.
We believe that talent is universal but opportunity is not, and that income inequality and some of the policies from the government have created a situation where there's a huge gap in economic opportunity. It's not for a lack of wanting to be successful or wanting to be part of the economy, but it is because of these systems that have been in place to keep the haves and the have-nots separated.
I guess one of the things I'd like to encourage the candidates to consider is looking for ways that they can cooperate with fellow politicians to develop policies and approaches that are going to be beneficial to Southeast Michigan, that we know, working with elected officials, business, labor unions, that we get positive benefits when we decide to listen to each other and compromise on approaches that benefit all.
The people of Detroit are looking for relationship, and one of the ways that you can get people out to vote and to partner with the people of the city of Detroit and the people of the state of Michigan is to show them that you are really on board with the agenda to move all of the people forward in this state and not just a particular segment of the population.
We have always been here. We've always loved this city. We've always fought for Detroit. We've always wanted to have safe, clean neighborhoods. We've always wanted those things. And unfortunately, for a long time, people in Lansing, people in Washington, and others were not as committed to Detroit as the people who stayed here were. And so we want to keep reminding people that the same people who were here for the last 50 years and who stayed are still here. We're working with the new folks who've landed, but no one is coming into this town and saving Detroit. We are saving ourselves.